There is one sentence that turns a mirror dark and empties a narcissist out faster than any insult ever could. It isn't loud, and it isn't cruel. It's 3 small words, said so calmly they can't find the edge to grab, and the calm is the part that frightens them. Most people think you beat a narcissist by proving them wrong, by finally saying the thing, by making them admit what they did. But that's the one move that keeps them alive. Every argument you win is still your attention. Every tear is still proof they can move you. They don't fear your rage. They feed on it. And the thing that actually terrifies them isn't the sentence. It's what the sentence quietly proves about you. And it's the one thing they've spent the whole relationship making sure you never found out. If this is already naming something you lived through, subscribe. We do this every week. You know the loop. They say something that isn't true, and your whole body leans in to correct it. You explain. They twist it. You explain again, slower, kinder, certain that this time the right words will finally make them see. Your chest is tight. It's 1 a.m., and you're still building the perfect sentence in your head. You were never in a conversation. You were auditioning for an understanding that was never on offer. Your nervous system learned this a long time ago, that if you could just explain yourself well enough, the person in front of you would finally soften and be safe. So you're not needy. You're running a survival program a much younger version of you wrote just to stay safe. Here's what you actually were to them: a mirror. Psychologists call it narcissistic supply, the reactions, the admiration, even the fear that a narcissist needs from other people just to feel real. Heinz Kohut, the analyst who first mapped this, said their sense of self only holds together while someone keeps reflecting it back. Your face falling, your voice climbing, you're hurt. That was the fuel. And like any hit, it never lasted, so they always needed the next one. It was never about you. It was about whether they still existed. You've spent that relationship reaching for the words that would finally make it land. Here they are. They accuse you, they bait the old fight, and you look at them, steady, and say, you might be right. You don't defend. You don't explain. You don't hand over the reaction they came for. Dr. Ramani Durvasula calls it refusing to be the mirror. Everything in you will scream to justify yourself. That pull is decades old. It lives in your throat. Let it pass. 3 words that agree with nothing and feed them nothing. The fight has nowhere to land. At first it gets worse. They push harder, colder, louder. A text at 2:47 a.m. built to drop your stomach. You didn't fail. They just felt the supply cut out, and they're scrambling to switch it back on. Behavioral psychologists call that an extinction burst. The tantrum a pattern throws right before it finally dies. One thing though, and it matters more than any of this. If this is someone who has ever frightened you physically, silence can read to them as a threat. Your safety comes before any strategy. Reach for a real person, or a hotline, first. And know this going in. The first few times you don't explain yourself, your own body will panic. The silence will feel like cruelty, like losing, like letting them win. But that panic is just withdrawal. The reflex to explain kept you safe once, back when you were small and had no other move. It's been keeping you trapped ever since. Because here's what actually terrifies them. It was never about losing you. It's about what your calm proves, that they were never as powerful as they needed you to believe. You were the last mirror still holding their face, and you just turned it dark. Kohut had a name for what happens to them in that moment: fragmentation, the self coming apart when the reflection disappears. They're not afraid you'll walk out. They're afraid that with no reaction left to borrow, they'll finally have to sit in the thing that's been under there the whole time. Nothing. You don't need to win. You don't need them to admit it. That quiet you feel when you stop explaining yourself. For years, you read it as not caring enough. It was your freedom, arriving late. If this gave words to something you could never name, subscribe. We translate what your body already knows into language your mind can finally use. We do this every week. Tell me below, the sentence you wish you'd said, or the one you finally did. And if you're only now finding the calm, just drop the word calm. If someone you love keeps getting pulled back into the same fight, send them this. It might be the first time anyone ever has.